Hello everyone, welcome to Carnivorous Plants Hub. It's been a long time since I've given you a tour of my carnivorous plant grow tent, and I decided it was about time. I've had a lot of people actually requesting to take a look in there. This isn't all my carnivorous plants, but it's a good chunk of them, but it is all the ones that I have currently in my grow tent under this Corée grow light, and I just kind of wanted to walk you through and show you some of these plants. I'm actually getting ready to overhaul this grow tent to start creating more space. I'm trying to move on from a hobbyist mindset to more of a small business mindset. I need to start utilizing the space in this tent a lot better and start growing plants with the intent to sell and not just to admire. So make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel so you can see when my grow tent overhaul video comes out. All right, and without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these awesome carnivorous plants here I have in this grow tent. Real quick though, before I get to the plants, I did want to just comment on the Govee hydrometer and thermometer combo. They make it really easy to monitor the humidity and temperature in the grow tent. It keeps your historic data and allows you to monitor from the app, which is really helpful for me. You can also set up alerts, so if the humidity or temps drop too low or get too high, it'll send you an alert to your phone. That's really cool too. They're only 25 bucks and you get 2 of them. Links down in the description. They're really helpful, especially if you have any type of a grow tent where you need to monitor your humidity. All right, let's get started with my sarracenia purpurea here. It has a little flower starting to pop up. I've cut most of the old dead growth off of the old pictures that were from the last season, and it's just starting to come out of dormancy, so it's looking just a little shabby. Most of the temperate carnivorous plants that you're going to see in the tent today are just kind of coming out of dormancy, so just kind of, I guess, temper expectations a little bit. They're not big and beautiful. We're kind of still in the middle of that, just coming out of dormancy, so just so you know that. And down here next to my purpurea is just a little typical Venus flytrap. I decided to cut a flower stalk off and kind of just drop it down in here. It took pretty well and has been spreading pretty nicely. These two actually require really similar conditions and can grow pretty well together. So if you ever do have any flower stalks and you have some vacancy in some pots, sarracenia and Venus flytraps do pretty well together. Here you can see just a couple of typical Venus flytraps that I have here that are fresh out of dormancy. Actually, I'm pretty sure that the flower stalk that I cut and put next to my purpurea there was from one of these plants. This is my favorite Venus flytrap right now. It's the SD Chronos. Most of the traps that you're seeing are left over from last year and will probably turn black and die off soon, allowing for the new growth to come up and start taking over. It's doing a really good job naturally propagating by splitting. I think there's probably about 3 different plants in there now. The SD Chronos puts out these really beautiful reddish maroon and even yellow green traps that are with the really long cilia, or the kind of eyelashes that you see there. It really is a gorgeous fly trap. All right, and real quick before we jump to the next plant, let's just quickly talk about how you can get your hands on some of these awesome carnivorous plants that you're seeing today.
I'm super pumped about teaming up with California Carnivores. They're one of the most experienced and knowledgeable carnivorous plant nurseries in the entire world. They have a massive selection year-round of all types of carnivorous plants. There will definitely be something in their nursery you fall in love with. On top of that, they've also been generous enough to offer my viewers an exclusive 10% discount on their order when they enter CP Hub at checkout. That's CP Hub. Head on over and pick out yourself a new carnivorous plant to add to your collection. You know you deserve it. Let's go ahead and get back to the video.
Perfect. Thank you so much for listening to that. I really appreciate it. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at my sarracenia maroon here. It's got a flower left over from last year. I just haven't had the heart to cut it off yet. I left a few of last year's pictures because they still look so red and beautiful. I just didn't have the heart to cut those off either. I'm gonna have to trim them off here pretty soon though, as they're kind of drowning out the new growth, as you can kind of see in the middle there and off to the side. The light's having a hard time getting through to there, so I probably do have to cut off some of these old pictures pretty soon. Here are some of my nepenthes ventrata cuttings that are still growing. I haven't done a great job staying on top of these. I had them in a windowsill that's kind of out of sight, out of mind. I decided to go ahead and put them in the tent so they could get some humidity and start to grow a little bit better. So hopefully these will start to take off now that they're in the grow tent. Here are some of my pinguicula propagations. These are Sethos. More to come on these really soon, actually. I'm doing a video showing kind of the move from these trays over to their own small pots. This will probably be one of the first plants that I actually will have enough of to sell consistently, so check back really soon. Check in the description. There might be a link there already. If not, there should be one coming really soon. Here is my Triton Venus flytrap. It's doing really well coming out of dormancy. It was actually one of the first flytraps to really start putting out new leaves. This is going to be a stunner this summer, I think. The leaves just keep popping out like crazy. It seems like it's going to be a really aggressive grower, and I'm really looking forward to this one over this summer. You can get this one at California Carnivores. Here you can see some of my original leaf pullings that I pulled from my Pinguicula sethos. They're actually getting really big, and they're probably actually ready to sell as well. These pink sethos are so amazing. They're actually one of my absolute favorite carnivorous plants. They're really easy to grow, and they do a great job catching gnats. Venus flytraps have always been my favorite overall carnivorous plant, but I'm not going to lie, these sethos are definitely knocking at that door. One of the more interesting and unusual plants in my collection is the Brocchinia reducta. These are actually really super cool. They almost look more like a succulent. They grow these really large leaves, and the bugs are collected from the middle in the area that holds a tiny bit of water. It's almost kind of like a pitcher plant. They're just really unusual. They're kind of tropical looking. I think they just really complement a carnivorous plant collection. They're really beautiful. You can kind of see that I actually need to clean these off a little bit. They sit in water all the time, and they're definitely collecting some algae on the top. I probably need to get a little bit stronger fan too to get some better airflow. I also really need to clean out the trays. It's kind of growing its own little collection of algae, but that's all going to be part of kind of overhauling this grow tent as well. Here's some absolutely beautiful Utricularia Peter Rabbit or bladderworts. I love the combination of the moss and the beautiful little lavender flowers. It's really an amazing plant. I'm going to be starting another larger pink rock project here pretty soon, and these are definitely going to be a large part of that project. And of course you have the Drosera capensis or Cape sundew. Just look at those tentacles turning a beautiful shade of red and ready to grab some gnats and fruit flies. I think I have like 3 growing out of this planter, and we'll need to probably repot this one very soon. The flowers climb really high above the plant. This one is actually almost touching the grow light. They put out the most beautiful shade of pink flowers. It's really fun to see these. The pink flowers seem like that they bloom more when you turn on the grow light, and when the light turns off, for the most part, they kind of close shut. So they don't just stay open all the time. So it's really neat when that light pops on. After a couple hours, you can come in and see these beautiful pink flowers blooming. And right here is the Drosera Marston's Dragon. This is a fork leaf sundew, and I'm so excited that it's recovering. I went on vacation and I didn't leave enough water for it. It dried out and mostly died. I thought that it was actually done for, but it's now starting to put out a ton of new growth and looks like it's back on the mend. I'm really relieved because this is an awesome sundew. It's actually a temperate sundew, so this one will actually go through a dormancy period, unlike the Drosera capensis. So you got to make sure that when you get the sundew that you know what type it is, because some of them do require a dormancy. And right here we have another Drosera capensis. This one is the ICPS Giant. It's not so giant yet, but it should grow pretty considerably. The leaves on this one are a little more yellow and not as red as my other capensis. It's really another beautiful carnivorous plant. Let's head on over to the area where I keep most of my nepenthes, and I'll start here with my Rob Cantley. One of the most prized nepenthes that I own. I pulled it out of its normal conditions for a time-lapse video that I did, but it's kind of back in the tent now and it's recovering nicely. I started to see some signs of it not doing so great, so I wanted to get it out of the area that I had it in and back into this grow tent. The red picture in the front is the one that was in the time-lapse, so make sure you go check that out if you haven't seen it yet. It started really kind of small and green and it turned into this beautiful big red picture, but this is one of my favorite nepenthes and I'm really excited to see how much it can grow. Here is my Spectabilis by Rob Cantley. You can tell by its beautiful speckled pictures that it's a Spectabilis. This one was also with my other Rob Cantley for the time lapse. The picture took much longer on this one to develop, so it wasn't very eventful. I didn't actually get the results that I wanted out of it, but you can see how red the leaves got from being under the grow light. Maybe just a bit too red, I think. I'm glad that it's back in the tent under its more normal conditions, because I think the grow light that I had on it was just a little too strong where I was filming the time lapse. Here's maybe one of my most favorite carnivorous plants that I have right now. This actually used to be just one small sethos. It has multiplied and kind of taken over this small pot. It's rosetted, so it gives it kind of this beautiful bouquet appearance. It almost looks like a little bouquet of roses. I just can't get enough of it. And I'm a little bit upset because I know soon that it's probably going to need to be pulled out of this pot and separated, which is going to just destroy me. But right now I'm just really enjoying the kind of rosetted aesthetic that it's giving off. I would imagine that at some point this summer it's probably going to be covered in gnats and fruit flies, but for right now I'm just going to enjoy it in all of its beauty. If you're enjoying this video and finding it helpful, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel. My dream is to have my own carnivorous plant nursery someday and sell you plants just like the ones that I'm showing you today. You can support me in my dream by giving a monetary contribution by clicking the thanks button below the video, but if you don't have any money to give me, that's no problem. Just like, sub, and watch this video all the way through to the end. Just those simple things can help me more than you can possibly imagine. So thank you so much for being here. Let's go ahead and get back to the grow tent. Here are my lazy Cape sundew propagations. I did make a video kind of covering how I planted these. Basically, I just crumbled some dead flowers over the substrate. About 30 days later, these all started to pop up. They aren't called the weed of the carnivorous plant for nothing. Just look at all these little sundews popping up and look at all that dew. So if you follow my channel, you probably remember when I separated the Venus flytrap from the cephalotus. This is actually all that's left of that cephalotus that I pulled apart. It didn't take off like I'd hoped, but it is alive and seems to be stable. I'm hoping that it starts taking off really soon. It does have a small leaf, and I can see that there's a new picture starting to pop up, so that's a really good sign. Cephs can be a little bit moody when you repot them, but so far this one is taking a little bit longer to recover, but it does look like it's starting to take off, so I'm excited about that. Here's another ceph. I love the way that it's colored up. This one really seems to be doing well, and it's multiplying all the time. It's just cephalotuses are really cool carnivorous plants. Here are a couple more of my sarracenia that are fresh out of dormancy. The new growth on them is tiny, but it is starting to shoot up. The first one here is a purpurea by Adrian Slack. It's a beautiful dark red color, and the other one here is a Leah Wilkerson by Minor Giant. Looking forward to see how these two grow this summer. And the last nepenthes that we're going to be taking a look at here is the Spectabilis platycula. I've had it for a really long time, but it just really wasn't doing that great. I didn't have it in the best conditions, and that's on me. But it is starting to make a really great recovery now that I've got it in the grow tent. So I'm really looking forward to see how big these pitchers get and how many it'll start putting out now that it's getting the right amount of humidity that it really needs. I'm going to be doing an overhaul of the tent, cleaning it out and completely rearranging. As you can see, it's pretty dirty down there. It's definitely time to clean up and reorganize. I'm going to be getting some new lights and some shelving, and I'm really excited to open it up and create more room for propagating and more plants. Please sub to the channel so you can see when that overhaul video comes out. And if you're interested in seeing the process of setting up the grow tent, please check out the video that's just popping up on the screen for you right there. And thank you so much for being here, and I hope to catch you in my next video. Bye.